the opportunity to move to different locations or through retention incentives. And that is something that I certainly will continue to ask Congress for support on. And I am open to ideas to help keep these, men and women that I have. I want to retain them as long as I can, our great working men and women. When it comes to our processing facilities, as I stated earlier, thank you for the funding to help us deal with, the things that we need. We are adding shower trailers, laundry, more portable toilets, hand washing stations, more hygiene products, meals and such. But long term, I would tell you that this is not what the Border Patrol should be doing. I want folks out of our custody and care as soon as possible. I want to get them processed, and then I want them out of our facilities. I have so many facilities that are already in need of work, I'm getting funding for 1 to 2 facilities a year. It would take an extensive period of time to permanently do something there. And it's taking my men and women away from their primary mission of border security. So just as we're thinking about how to deal with this, I would just ask the members here to, consider, once again, I want these families and kids in either family residential centers or in Health and Human Services.
My time's up, but we did add money, or we're proposing to add money for entry-level positions, so your men and women can do what they need to do, and then we get those folks to do the changing of diapers and all of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief, I almost want to apologize for the position that this Congress and previous Congresses have put you in. As a law enforcement officer myself, I know how frustrating it was for me back in the 70s when I was dealing with domestic violence cases, and the law precluded me from putting people in jail that I knew had broken the law, that had abused women, and I couldn't do anything about it because of the law. So I can only imagine the frustration that you all have at the border, that your men and women who care about folks are going through in their effort to carry out their job when this body fails to act on an arcane immigration system that, because of our lack of action, the Flores Settlement Agreement in the 1980s comes into being, and that wasn't all that bad, but we didn't act, the courts did. But then what happened in 2015 was the expansion of the Flores Settlement Agreement by a judge, Judge Dolly G. in California. She created the greatest danger for these folks who are traveling to our southern border from these northern triangle countries by saying that as long as you had a child with you, you had a free pass to get into this country. We weren't going to hold you more than 20 days. Change the structure from a reasonable time to 20 days. She created this situation. That's why we see all these caravans, this increase in families coming to our border. We have created the pull. We've created the incentive. We've created the desire through the court system for these people to find children that they can then use as a key to unlock entry into the United States and go on a very dangerous journey with drug traffickers and human traffickers who are making tons of money off of this process. Tons of money off not only the death of some of these kids. It's horrific. So, when I look at the picture that was recently very well distributed of the gentleman with the baby in the water, everybody looked at that and assumed that they drowned. I didn't. I'm a law enforcement officer. The first thing I thought, a trafficker probably killed him, probably drowned him. Most of the Rio Grande you can walk across. Now, I don't know about that particular section, but it's more likely to me that some human trafficker killed those individuals, not that they drowned. So my question is this. In this year's budget, there's no money for Border Patrol officers between points of entry. But in this year's budget, and I think my colleague, Mr. Cuellar, touched on this, what are the numbers that you are actually going to be able to hire now, that you have currently authorized?
Well, I have approximately 19,500 agents right now. I do have, thankfully, 442 trainees at the academy, and my classes are full at this point in time. This looks to be the second year in a row, because last year we actually did hire more people than we lost, by 118, I think. I am projecting that we will be somewhere around 150 to 200 more this year, assuming graduates through the trainees that I have in the academy right now.
Right. So when we talked to field operations who manage the ports of entry, they talked about having moved officers around, and in your written testimony, at least, there was, you mentioned 700 officers that you have moved. Now, has that had an impact on other areas, a negative impact on other areas that you had to move them from?
So we currently have 731 Office of Field Operations, my brothers and sisters in blue that work at the ports of entry that are supporting my men and women in our efforts. I also have 325 Border Patrol agents from the northern and coastal regions that I have pulled down on TDY. And we also have a volunteer force of 342 that are helping us with this crisis right now. And it is certainly pulling them away from their other duties. But it is a necessity at this point. I desperately need their help to handle this crisis.
Thank you. And my time has expired, but I want you to know that I'm committed to not just to dealing with the symptoms of this thing, but we have to address the pull that we've all created. Not you, not your officers, but this body.
Thank
by
you.
our inaction. I yield back.